Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone's doing fine this afternoon.
Good afternoon, Judge.
I have the honor.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Afternoon.
Thank you.
Your Honor,
Yes, Ms. Gant.
I did put a message in the chat regarding positions 2 and 4. We will need breakouts with the Spanish interpreter.
Okay,
And
Thank you.
there's also an interpreter, a Mandarin interpreter for position. Well, last name is he. He has a private attorney.
Okay.
Who is he?
Position 11.
That's correct, Your Honor. I'm here for Mr. He, and I would love to speak with him if I could.
Okay, well, we will accommodate that prior to the hearing. Thank you. So who do we have in courtroom 3?
Judge, if I can do all the, I have position number 3, 6, and 21 in courtroom 3. I also have all 3 interpreter cases in courtroom 3. So if I can do the females first, then we can do the interpreter case one at a time, please.
Okay, very good. So who do we have first?
Position number 3, Ms. Booker, please.
Okay. Position 3, I have Booker. Is that
Yes, that's right.
okay? It's Booker. Okay, and who's representing?
Wanda Gant, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Just wanted to make sure. Good afternoon. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we are conducting by video, ma'am, to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Booker, you've been charged in case 22 CR 004412J with theft by taking and criminal trespass. Is there a history, Mr. Howard? It doesn't appear that Mr. Howard's with us as of yet. Ms. Mitchell, good afternoon. Is this your case?
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon. Based on my records, this is a first arrest, but I would like for him to confirm that to make sure our GCICs are the same.
Okay. He'll confirm it when he gets on the line with us, Ms. Mitchell, so you can proceed with your presentation.
Okay. Your Honor, in this case, the defendant stole her ex-girlfriend, Miss Nigeria, spelled Nyjiria, Guiders, spelled Gyguider. Miss Guider's dog, a Yorkie with a value of $300. The defendant also spray painted the words, quote, cheater and liar on Miss Guider's bed sheets valued at $100. The defendant knew the door code and apparently snuck into the home while Miss Guider was away. They recently went through a breakup. The defendant stated that she had no intentions on bringing the dog back. Ms. Guider stated she didn't feel safe and didn't want the defendant coming back. And fortunately, the animal was eventually returned and the defendant was taken into custody. Your Honor, there's a current bond of $4,000 surety on this case. $2,000 is to each count, and the state's going to request that that bond be reduced to a $4,000 signature bond with a no further contact with Miss Guider. The stay away from incident location 179 Hamilton E. Holmes, Northwest, Atlanta, Georgia, a one-day anger awareness course, and no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. And of course, this is based on her history being a first arrest. Our victim advocate did have an opportunity to speak with Ms. Guider, and she confirmed that they don't live together. And she confirmed that she did receive her dog back. And that she said since the breakup, the defendant had been acting weird and has been coming to her apartment while she hasn't been home doing, quote, weird stuff. And so that she does want to no contact and to stay away from the residence. And I believe she is on Zoom today.
Okay. Ms. Gant?
Your Honor, we are unopposed to the bond and the conditions. My client does not want contact, and we are not requesting a one-time law enforcement escort. Ms. Booker is 27 years old. She has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area for 1 year. She does not have family here. However, she does have community ties. She has an associate's degree in art. She is the assistant manager at a daycare center for pets full-time. She denies the allegations, and of course, we heard her history. And again, we are requesting a signature bond, and we're unopposed to the bond and conditions. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, if Ms. Geiger's on the line and would like to address the court, certainly not necessary, but if you'd like to address the court, I'll need for you to activate your camera, and I'll need to swear you in. All right, it doesn't appear that she is on the line with us.
Your Honor, if I may, I do apologize. I misspoke. Ms. Booker would like to have a one-time law enforcement escort to retrieve any belongings from the residence of Ms. Geiger.
Okay, that's fine, Ms. Gant. So it's going to be $1,000 signature bond on each charge through the jails, makes it a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. No further contact with Ms. Geiger. Stay away from the 179 Hamilton E. Holmes address. She can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that she may have there. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Booker.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Position number 6 is next, please, Judge.
Okay.
I just want to give you heads up, Judge.
Yes.
The internet connection out here at the jail is real unstable right now because you keep going in and out. So just give you heads up, okay?
All right. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, Ms. Darcy. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You've been charged in case 22 CR 004415F with simple battery, 2 counts. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
The 5th arrest. Last was 1988 for DUI.
Okay. Ms. Mitchell?
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, the defendant battered other patrons at a concert that includes Mr. Julius Guy, spelled Julius Guy, and Miss Megan, spelled Megan, Rowe, spelled Rowe, by shoving them while waiting in the VIP line. Both victims were standing in the line when the defendant blurted out that they weren't supposed to be there. Mr. Guy turned around and showed the defendant his VIP pass around his neck, and the defendant continued to call him, quote, a nigger, and shoved him and told him to move out of the way because she couldn't see. Mr. Guy, at that point in time, didn't want to get into a physical altercation with a female, so he got his girlfriend to step in between them, Miss Rowe. That's when the defendant started pushing Miss Rowe several times in both arms and chest to move her out of the way as well. And later, victims then decided to flag down officers for help. The defendant was noted as she had been drinking, and officers noticed that she seemed intoxicated at the time of the incident. The defendant also changed her story when speaking to the officers and later admitted to hitting them first. Once put under arrest, the defendant stated that this was about race and that we all just wanted to see a white woman go to jail and that the victim must be the homies or cousins of the officers and that she forgot what kind of world she's living in now. Our victim advocate did have an opportunity to speak with Mr. Guy, and I believe he is on the Zoom, but he was able to confirm what was in the police report. With that being said, the state is recommending, as to count 1, a $1,500 surety, as to count 2, a $1,500 surety, totaling a $3,000 surety bond, no further contact with both victims, Mr. Guy and Miss Rowe, a stay away from the incident location, which was Lakewood Amphitheater at 2002 Lakewood Avenue, Southwest Atlanta, Georgia, a 1-day anger awareness course, and no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Ms. Gant,
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Laura Darcy is 59 years old. She's born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia area. She has 2 grown children and other family members in this area, Your Honor. Therefore, she has community ties. She completed high school. She has 2 years of college in business management. At this time, Your Honor, she is between jobs. When she is working, she is a transportation driver in the film industry. She also is out taking care of some medical matters that prevent her from working. Your Honor, my client denies the allegations. We did not hear about any violent history. In fact, her last contact with law enforcement and the legal system was in the late 80s for a driving offense. I am requesting a signature bond as she is recommended. And Your Honor, we are unopposed to the no contact order. However, we are opposed to the stay away, being that there are many other opportunities for Ms. Darcy to go there and enjoy concerts, and she is presumed innocent, Your Honor. Thank you.
I see Ms. Rowe on the line. If Ms. Rowe or Mr. Guy are on the line and wish to address the court, now would be your opportunity to do so. If you would like to address the court, you're not required to, but if you would like to, you'll have to activate your camera, and I'll have to swear you in, and you'll have to unmute yourself. Okay, it does not appear that they wish to address the court. As such, for each simple battery, it's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial, an 8-week anger management course, no further contact with Julius Guy or Megan Rowe, stay away from Lakewood Amphitheater, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Good luck to you, Ms. Darcy.
Judge, position number 21, please.
Good afternoon, Ms. Smallwood. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Smallwood, you've been charged in case 22 CR 004433D for simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
It's a 4th arrest. Last was 07 suspended license.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Bacchus. Is this your case?
Afternoon, Your Honor. Yes, it is.
Okay.
Your Honor, this incident occurred on, I believe, yesterday, July 10th. An officer responded to a call at the corner of Rawson and Central Avenues in regards to a physical altercation. While on the scene, the officer was approached by the victim, Ms. Akuawana Sessler. Akuawana is spelled Akuawana. Sessler is spelled Sesler. She stated that her girlfriend, who's the defendant, scratched her in the face and pulled her out of the car. Ms. Sessler stated that she was driving the vehicle when her and the defendant got into an altercation. So Ms. Sessler said that the defendant did not agree with her statement, which is why she got upset. She scratched her in the face, causing lacerations to her eye as well as her chin. While on the scene, Ms. Sessler also stated that the defendant drug her out of her vehicle, causing her to have minor lacerations to her elbow. The officer observed that Ms. Sessler's glasses and AirPods were broken. Ms. Sessler directed officers to their shared home. Her and the defendant do live together. And so she directed officers to their shared home. That address is 715 Celeste Lane. The officer observed that the defendant was missing a tooth, and when asked, she stated that Ms. Sessler knocked it out, but Ms. Sessler said that the defendant's tooth came out because she tried to bite Ms. Sessler on the back, and later the defendant did admit that to the officers. Your Honor, the state is recommending a $3,000 surety bond, no further contact with the victim, Ms. Sessler. Stay away from the shared residence, a 1-day anger awareness, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. She doesn't have a significant history. However, this was a seemingly a pretty serious incident, fairly violent for her to drag Ms. Sessler out of the vehicle, biting and lacerations on her all over her body. And so, Your Honor, because of the violent nature of it, we are asking for that $3,000 surety bond and nothing further from the state.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. St. Flex. Is this your case?
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon. At this point, we just wanted to remind the court, as the court, I'm sure is aware of that, at this point, all of these are just allegations. Ms. Smallwood denies the facts as stated. As we heard, her last incident of arrest was in 2007, which is at this point over 10 or 15 years ago, and that was a driving while license suspended, so it wasn't anything that was violent. I have spoken to Ms. Smallwood about the address. As far as the living or going back to live at the address, she understands that she probably will not be able to do that. However, her car is in front of the house, as well as furniture. She recently sold her house with her ex-husband, who she is currently divorcing. I'm sorry, her husband that she's separated from, so they're currently in a divorce. So she sold her house and all of her major furniture and belongings are in the house of the alleged victim. And so since her car is in front of the house, she needs to get that first. But because she's been in jail, she's not going to be able to get the car, as well as go take a U-Haul to go get all of her things at one time. So we are asking that she's first allowed to just go get her car from the residence, and then she's allowed to return with an officer as stated, to go and get the rest of her belongings with the U-Haul truck or whatever else she may need to use. As far as her conditions of bond, Your Honor, she has been living in Georgia her whole life. She does have family that's here, and she was recommended for pretrial. We would ask that she's released through the jail, but if not, we would ask that she's released on the pretrial recommendation bond. And that's all, Your Honor, nothing further. Oh, I'm sorry. She is currently working for Cobb County Schools. She is over their food program. She's been doing that for over 5 years. So right now she can't afford to, she doesn't have anybody to bond her out, but she's looking forward to getting back to work in that program, in her Cobb County school program, if she's released on a signature bond.
Okay, it's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with Lackawanna Sessler. Stay away from the 715 Solis Lane address. You can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve her car. She can go back a second time with law enforcement to retrieve her belongings. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Your Honor, the state is asking that you reconsider on the surety bond based on the violent nature. And if the state, Your Honor is not willing to reconsider, we just want to perfect the record that you are issuing the signature bond over the state's objection.
I quite often issue a signature bond over the state's objection in these types of cases. So that could be noted for any of my rulings, Ms. Alvarez. So I'll give you a continuing objection if you don't agree with my ruling, okay?
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Good luck to you, Ms. Smallwood.
Thank you so much, sir.
Your Honor, did you grant the 1-day anger awareness? I'm sorry.
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you.
Who do we have next?
Judge, if we can have a breakout session with position number 2 in courtroom 3.
Okay, so good afternoon, Madam Interpreter. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Your Honor.
Good. We appreciate your assistance. So if we can take who's representing, is that Ms. Gant? Whose client is
It's Ms. Gant, Judge.
okay, so Ms. Gant needs to speak with her client and the interpreter prior to a hearing. Is that correct?
Yes, Judge. Thank you.
Okay, so if we can place Ms. Gant and the interpreter into the breakout room.
Got it, Judge.
And let's see, are we going to go to courtroom 2?
Yes, Judge. If that's the case, then we can just go ahead and do Ms. St. Flex cases since Ms.
Okay,
Gant.
I see Mr. Murphy on the line also, so
Oh,
we can.
okay. Yes, that's fine. We can do Mr. Murphy's case, which is the conflict.
Judge, I've got James Bynes, Erica Ugly, and Kieria Smith. I've only spoken to Bynes.
Okay.
This is position 5, Mr. Bynes. Who else you need to speak to, Mr. Dennis?
Erica Ugly and Kieria Smith.
But
I believe they're at Union City.
Yeah.
You've already spoken to Mr. Bynes, correct?
I have, Judge. We could go forward when reached.
We're ready for Mr. Bynes.
Okay, this is Mr. Bynes in front of me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Bynes. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir, and good afternoon as well.
Thank you, sir. You've been charged in case 22 CR 004414H with theft by shoplifting. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
52 total. Last arrest was June 30th in Cobb. Sale of marijuana, theft by receiving. So that's open. Also has history out of Florida. Had a 2020 probation out of Cobb. 2020 probation out of Dunwoody. 2018 hit and run, suspended license out of Sandy Springs. 2018 FTA for suspended license. 2018 probation. He got a lot of driving. He got the ag assault battery DV conviction from 2017. 2017 probation, 2016 FTA. I'll leave it at that.
What about theft, Mr. Howard? I've got one open, theft by receiving. Any other?
Not in the last 10 years, no.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Mitchell?
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, the defendant was caught shoplifting with co-defendant Tiffany Stewart out of Walmart located on 970 Mansell Road, Roswell, Georgia. They stole $77.56 worth of food and beverage items without scanning said items and then placed them directly into a Walmart plastic bag. Your Honor, there's video footage of this incident of both defendants taking these items. The co-defendant Stewart was given a $4,000 signature bond at the time, but she only had 3 cycles. This defendant, as heard from pretrial, has an extensive history. His most recent arrest prior to this being a theft arrest on June 30th of this year. So with that being said, there's a current bond of $1,000 surety on this case, and the state's going to request that that bond remain the same with a stay away from the Walmart on 970 Mansell Road and no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Murphy?
Judge, I'd ask the court to consider signature bond, the alleged value of these items. There's a co-defendant. My client's got a stable address at 41 Marietta Street, Northwest, apartment 89, Atlanta 30301. Judge, he is lifelong resident of Georgia, finished high school, went to Grady High School. Judge advised me that he has some employment pending. He has limited resources. I'm going to have to reach out to some family members, but we're not quite sure who can go out on a bond. I don't believe there's anything else that's aggravating under these circumstances. And Judge, we would stipulate that he would stay away from all Walmart stores pending the outcome of this case. And I'd ask the court to consider a signature bond therein.
Your Honor, if I may state, I forgot to add that the defendant is a flight risk. And within the past 5 years, he has 4 FTAs and 5 probation violations. So we do have concerns of that. That's all, Your Honor.
All right, so it's going to be a $500 good bond. Stay away from all Walmarts, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Bynes.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Bynes, I'll reach out to your family. Thank you, Your Honor.
Next, we have position 14, Mccree.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mccree. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we are conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. You agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Thank you. You've been charged in case 22 CR 004423E with simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Yes, 4 cycles. 2018 out of the
Your-
Army.
Your Honor, I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure Ms. Gant wasn't representing him because I don't represent him and she's in the breakout.
Okay, thank you, Ms. St. Flex. If Mr. McCree is Ms. Gant's client, we're gonna have to go to someone else until she comes back.
According to my paperwork, it looks like Mr. McCree, Norris. Let me double check. Yeah, you have. Yeah, that's Ms. Gantz, yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, that is Ms. Gantz. I apologize.
Okay, you're all right, that's fine.
Okay. Position 17, Monroe.
I represent Mr. Monroe.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Monroe. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yeah, that's me as well.
Thank you. You've been charged in case 22 CR 004427J with criminal trespass and obstruction of a law enforcement officer. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Oh.
No?
No.
Okay, thank you. Who's presenting for the state?
Which position is this, Your Honor?
This is position 17, Michael Monroe.
That would be me.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
All right, give me 1 second. Okay, this incident occurred on July 9th. Officers responded to a trespass call at the Coda building on 756 Peachtree Street. That's a co-working space. The caller stated that there was a male refusing to leave the restroom area. Upon arrival, officer met with security who advised that the defendant was smoking on the patio area, and when told to leave, he entered the restroom and refused to come out. The defendant was escorted out of the restroom by a Georgia Tech officer, and when the officer asked for his identification, he gave his name. He said his name was Michael Monroe, but he gave a birth date of July 21st, 1991, which the officers ran it, and it was returned unfounded, but officers later discovered his actual date of birth was July 2nd, 1991, and when they ran the name, they found that there was an active criminal trespass warning from the day prior on July 8th. Your Honor, we're asking, the state is asking or recommending a $2,000 surety bond and to stay away from the incident location. Nothing further from the state.
What is the incident location, Ms. Bacchus?
The incident location is the Coda building, 756 Peachtree Street in Atlanta.
Okay. It's going to be a $1,000 signature bond on each count, which is a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Ms. St. Flex, does he have any reason to go back to that Coda building?
No, Your Honor, he does not.
Okay, and stay away from the Coda building at 756 Peachtree Street. All right.
I met him with a friend.
Is that fine with you, Ms. St. Flex?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Monroe.
Next, we have position 20, Rowe.
Hey, you call out the wrong side. You go to court. You talking a lot.
Is there any way I can call back?
Whose client is Mr. Rowe?
He's my client, Your Honor.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Rowe. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Rowe, you've been charged in case 22 CR 004430F with simple battery family violence, driving while your license was suspended or revoked, and possession of marijuana less than an ounce. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
6 total. 2019 theft by deception. It was dismissed. Yeah, the ag assault conviction, 2012. Before that was 2012 trespass conviction, 2011 burglary. That was dismissed. Disorderly conduct, possession of drug-related objects conviction from 2011. That's it.
Ms. Bacchus?
Yes, Your Honor, and this incident occurred on July 10th, which was yesterday. An officer was dispatched to I-20 eastbound expressway northwest near Hamilton E. Holmes Drive to assist an off-duty unit who advised that he was on a highway lane trying to separate two parties who were disputing with children present. And by the time the on-duty officer arrived, the parties had already been separated and were out of traffic. But the victim, Sharaya Lester, Sharaya is spelled Sheraya, Lester, common spelling, told the officer she was a passenger in the car that was being driven by her boyfriend, who's the defendant, and that he physically assaulted her. Once the officer finally spoke with Ms. Lester, she said that there had been a series of verbal altercations with the defendant for about 5 days. And this particular day, they were arguing while the defendant was driving. During that argument, the defendant punched Ms. Lester on the left side of her face. Ms. Lester then tried to defend herself and eventually grabbed the defendant's arm, causing him to veer off the road onto the shoulder. Once the vehicle was stopped, Ms. Lester exited the vehicle along with her children. Your Honor, it must have been fairly serious because according to the report, Ms. Lester ran into oncoming traffic with her two children and began trying to flag down and approaching motorists, which is at that time when she flagged down the off-duty officer. The children saw the entire incident, and so the officer arrested the defendant, and upon the pat down, they found possession of a 9mm Glock. They must have run it and found that it was rightfully in possession. They didn't charge him with a gun charge, but he did have the marijuana in his pants pocket. And once they ran his name, they found that his license was suspended. You did hear the history, Your Honor. The state's recommendation is a $4,000 surety bond, $3,000 on the battery family, on the simple battery family violence, and $500 on the other two counts. A stay away from the shared home. I believe the defendant and the victim lived together. We were unable to contact to verify that. A no further contact and a 1-day anger awareness and no alcohol, drugs, or weapon while out on bond. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Has your office been able to speak with Ms. Lester?
No,
Yes, Your Honor. I spoke with Ms. Lester this morning. I think she was about to say her office was not able to speak with them, but I spoke with her this morning.
Yeah, according to our victim witness advocate, they did leave a message, but they were unable to contact her.
Okay, thank you. Let me see, before we go on with Mr. Rowe, courtroom 3, is there someone else that we can put into the breakout room?
Yes, I also have position number 11 and position number 24, Judge, that needs a breakout session with them.
Is this position 11 with us now?
No, I can get position 11.
No, I just want to know who to put in with you. What position?
This is position 24, but I think this is Ms. Sanflet's client.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have I think he's position number 24, the Spanish speaking client.
Okay, so can we put in Ms. Hingerty's client? I think that's position 11, so that
This is fine. Thank you.
okay, so let's put the Mandarin interpreter along with Ms. Hingerty into courtroom, to breakout room, courtroom 3, please. Thank you. Let's see. Let's continue with Mr. Rowe.
We ready, Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay. As far as the contact with the alleged victim, Your Honor, I spoke with Ms. Lester this morning. She does want no further contact as of right now, but she did confirm that they do not live at that address together. She has moved into a different address, and his mother actually assisted her in moving to that address, who I spoke to this morning. She was actually with his mother. So she's no longer living at that address. So we would ask that the stay away is not put into place, that the no further contact would prevent them from having any contact with each other. As far as the rest of his history, Your Honor, he has been living here in Georgia for over 15 years. Even though he does have some sort of a history, he doesn't have more than 2 FTAs. I think it's been at least 2 or 3, 4 years since his last charge, and that 2019, as we heard, was dismissed. He is applying for a disability right now. He was in a car accident in November, so he's not able to work. He has a rod in his leg, so he is not able to afford a bond amount right now. Your Honor, he was recommended for pretrial, so we would ask that he is released on a signature bond through the jail or through pretrial.
Your Honor, we just to quickly piggyback off that, again, I'm just restating the state is objecting to the signature bond, particularly on this violent.
Your Honor, we're going to object to this. I think the
You're
court
objecting to
noted,
my objection?
Yeah, we are.
Okay,
Because I think the court
okay,
has
hold
noted
on, hold
a
on, hold on.
continuing objection.
Okay, no, hold on a second. So we're not gonna do this, okay? I'm gonna let everybody speak in turn. I'm gonna listen to what everyone has to say, and then I'm gonna make a decision. So let's not speak over one another because I can't hear you when you do. And if you've been in my courtroom before, you know that I like to hear from everybody. And Ms. Bacchus and Ms. St. Flex, I will give you all the equal opportunity to speak, okay? So Ms. St. Flex, had you completed your presentation?
Yes, Sharon, I did.
Okay, good. And Ms. Bacchus, just, I can hear the history. I understand your objections, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to tell the court whatever you need to tell the court. So go ahead.
Your Honor, no, it's just, again, if you look at the nature of the facts and the violence of the situation, I know that he doesn't have his criminal history is fairly remote, but this is a pretty serious incident that occurred on a highway with children where a woman is running out trying to save herself and her children. So the state is just objecting and nothing further from the state.
Okay. And Mr. Howard, let's see. I don't have Mr. Rowe on my list. I heard something from Ms. St. Fleck that he was recommended. Is that the case?
Oh, yeah, my bad.
So Mr. Rowe.
I didn't have it on my list, but I mean, he was recommended.
Okay, all right. So if nothing further, for the simple battery, it's going to be a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial. For the driving, $500 signature bond through pretrial. For the marijuana, $500 signature bond through pretrial. That makes up a total of a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial. 1 day anger awareness. No further contact with Ms. Lester. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Rowe.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
Your Honor,
Yes, Ms. Gant.
I do apologize for interrupting. I just received an update regarding position 9. I will need a breakout with Your Honor, myself, and the ASG.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Gant.
Next is position 19, pass.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pass. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we are holding by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, Mr. Pass. You've been charged in case 22 CR 004428G with criminal trespass and damage to property. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Third arrest. Last was 2011. Suspended registration. And the shoplifting that was dismissed from 2009.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Bacchus?
Looks like this occurred on the 9th of July. Officers were dispatched to a male-female dispute call. Upon arrival, the officer spoke with the victim, Miss Lentoria Pass. Lentoria is spelled Lyntoria, Pass common spelling, who stated that she was in a dispute with her son who resides in the home with her. Ms. Pass stated that her son, the defendant, threw a rock at her window, which caused damage to it. She also stated that the defendant damaged items inside the house prior to damaging the window. When the officer asked Ms. Pass about why her son did this and why he was upset with her, she said that she was at her daughter's house for a couple of days, and she usually does that a couple of days per week. And she had returned home that morning, and I guess her son was upset with her about that time that she had been gone. And so they began arguing. Ms. Pass said she recalled that she was woken up by the defendant throwing things inside the house. So she walked outside and told him he needed to stop. And then she called the police. And he told his mom, since you're going to call the police on me and have me locked up, let's give them a reason to lock me up. While he was saying this as he was simultaneously picking up the rock to throw at the window. Our office did have a chance to speak with Ms. Pass. She said that she fears the defendant and that this is the second time he's done this. She believes that the defendant may have some mental health issues, but he's not been diagnosed with anything. She stated that she's planning on filing for a TPO on tomorrow, and she wants no contact. She wants to stay away, and she wants the one-time law enforcement escort to retrieve his belongings, but she was not going to be able to attend the Zoom today. Your Honor, the state is asking for a $1,500 surety bond, a stay away from the incident location, no further contact, one day anger awareness, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond. Nothing further.
What's the incident location?
The incident location is 1244 Westboro Drive Southwest.
Thank you. Ms. St. Flex?
Yes, Your Honor. As the court heard, Mr. Paz last charge was in 2011, and that was a nonviolent charge, a driving while license suspended. So it's been over 10 years since he's had any issues. We did receive information about him possibly being qualified for mental health board, but it's going to take some time to see whether or not he actually goes through that process, or if he's going to go through that process. So I do believe there are those questions there. He's been living in Georgia his entire life. He does have family outside of his mother here. He has 2 brothers and a sister, and additionally some other family. He was not working before his arrest, so he cannot afford a bond, Your Honor, a surety bond to pay out. He is recommended for pretrial, so we would ask that he is released either through the jail or through pretrial.
Okay, it's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial, one-day anger awareness class, no further contact with Venturia Pass, stay away from the 1244 Westboro Drive address. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to obtain any belongings that he might have there. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Good luck to you, Mr. Pass.
I'm sorry, what was the bond amount, Judge?
It was $2,000 signature bond through pretrial.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, we have position 18, Palmer.
And whose client is Mr. Palmer?
I represent Mr. Palmer, Your Honor.
Okay. As soon as we do Mr. Palmer, I'd like to put Ms. St. Flex and the interpreter into courtroom 3. But since Mr. Palmer's there, let's go ahead and get him done. Good afternoon, Mr. Palmer. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video? Mr. Palmer? Okay, I think they might be frozen. All right.
Froze, Judge, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's fine. I think the last thing I said, Mr. Palmer, is that we're doing this by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You've been charged in case 22 CR 004314C with battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
This 5th adult arrest. Last was 2020, entering auto, theft by taking. Unlawful participation in criminal street gang. The entering auto was not prosecuted. He got first offender for the theft by taking. I'm not sure about the unlawful Got a 2020 Cobb County carrying a weapon without a license conviction. 2019 unlawful participation, entering auto. 2019 shoplifting, and that's it. The first two cycles are juvia cycles. And he
Okay.
got a hold as well out of Cobb County.
Good afternoon, Mr. Segura.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This case occurred back on Saturday, July the 9th, 2022, which also responded to a dispute call at the incident location of 2825 Walters Road, Southwest Atlanta, in which case there was an altercation that started with the dual arrestee position 22, Miss Kieria Smith, Kieria spelled K-E-Y-E-R-I-A, Smith, common spelling, in which there was an argument which began about the defendant taking Smith to conduct some personal business, but somehow this exploded into a violent argument in which Ms. Smith decided to spit on the defendant, and at which point the defendant started to get close to Ms. Smith's face, so to attack her. At that point, Ms. Smith tried to push the defendant off her, and then in which case the defendant punched her in the face, and especially her forehead with his fist, which ended up causing a visible knot in the forehead area. Alongside this basically violent action, it also resulted in scratches on Ms. Smith's neck, on the leg, and the upper chest area. Because of this, the state is recommending a $3,000 surety bond, 1-day anger awareness, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, a stay from the 2825 Walters Road Southwest location, and no further contact with Kieria Smith. Conditions are based on these facts. Also, this week, we have extreme concerns about Ms. Smith's safety. For example, we are concerned that if he's left out on bond, that he could commit an act and not show up for court again, as he does have outstanding FTA from March 30th, 2022. Alongside, we're also concerned about Ms. Smith's safety, as he was convicted of carrying a weapon without a valid license back in 2020. And as such, because he has been guilty of carrying a weapon but being a convict, we are concerned about safety. Alongside, because of extreme actions and these gratuitous violence, we have awful objections to any sort of signature bond, and therefore we feel like the use of a surety bond gives us the correct message that the defendant need to keep to his bond and not commit these acts in the future. Thank you.
Ms. Flex.
Yes, Your Honor. I want to say first that bonds are not set to send messages. Bonds are set to ascertain that the client comes back to court. And Mr. Palmer, while he does have a little history, he doesn't have any within the last 2 years. Additionally, Your Honor, I spoke to him about the Cobb County hold. He did say that he does believe that it's something minor, that it's not a felony charge. I didn't hear if the prosecution said what the Cobb County charge was. I didn't hear that. But for right now, I don't know what it is, but he said it wasn't anything super serious. He has a sister who lives in Osceola, Georgia at 645 Whisper Lane. That's where he's been living. So he does have ties to the community. We have no objection to no further contact. His mom, dad, and other siblings also live here. Before he was arrested, Your Honor, he was working at the Blue Deacon Truck Wash for over a year. And this is, furthermore, Your Honor, this is a cross-accused case. So Ms. Smith has also been charged and was also arrested on that day. And I think something that was left out of the recitation of the police report is what it sounds like, is that she was also arrested because it stated that she pulled his hair significantly. And so there's confusion as to who did what and who started what, which is why both parties was arrested. So for that reason, Your Honor, we're asking for a signature bond. If the court is not inclined to give a signature bond, so he can go and handle his Cobb County case. As we know, it's taking a while it's probably going to take a little while for his case to get handled here. We would ask for $1,000 good bond.
Your Honor, if I quickly add, his history is directly related to the Ayala factors. And also we have to take into account that his case in Cobb County was serious enough for a warrant to be issued, and such do have safety concerns because the Miss PD St. Flex has noted she has no idea as to what is holding him in Cobb, and thus we could be on the safe side and treat it as a serious offense. Thank you.
It's going to be $1,000 good bonds. No further contact with Ms. Smith. Stay away from the 2825 Waters Road address. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Palmer.
Thank you.
Okay, so can we now put Ms. St. Flex and the interpreter into a breakout room, courtroom 3, please? And if courtroom 2, if we can take
Ms. Gaines.
yes,
Okay.
Ms. Gaines.
Next is position 8, and this is for Ms. Gant. Can't pronounce the name. Mr. Eckmore. Go ahead and say your name so that way the judge. Say your name.
Yeah.
Simon Etemikawa.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You have been charged in case 22 CR 004416C with battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
His first arrest. However, he has a hold out of DeKalb County for simple assault. That's it.
Thank you. Ms. Mitchell?
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, the defendant battered his ex-girlfriend, Miss Taylor Mason, by striking her in the face and pushing her to the ground, causing scratches. It started when she came back from a restaurant and decided to break up with the defendant, stating that the relationship wasn't going to work out, at which point the defendant did not accept her decision to break up. So he then hit her and grabbed her by the wig and threw her to the ground. Your Honor, our victim advocate did have an opportunity to speak with Ms. Mason, and she stated that the incident location at 5755 Glen Ridge Drive was the defendant's residence. They do not live together, but that this was the first time that it's happened between them. She does not want any contact with the defendant whatsoever, and I believe she is on Zoom. She also stated on June 10th, she had to call the police to have an officer escort her from the defendant's home because he began threatening her. Your Honor, the state's recommendation in this case is going to be a $3,000 surety bond and no further contact with Ms. Mason. We won't issue a stay away, being that that's his residence, but we are recommending a 1-day anger awareness and no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. Your Honor, based on the violent nature of these allegations and the victim statement to our victim advocate, we are recommending the surety bond. Your Honor is aware that the state takes battery family violence cases seriously, so we will object to a signature bond in this case and hope that the state goes with our recommendation. Thank you.
Ms. Gant?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Simon Etemakwar is 42 years old. He was born in Nigeria, but he has been in the Atlanta area since 2021. He has 2 sons who are living with him in Georgia. His sons are ages 10 and 8. Your Honor, my client completed high school. He also has a business degree. He obtained that while in Nigeria. He is currently self-employed at Simon Auto LLC. Mr. Etemakwar denies the allegations, Your Honor. He states that the complaining witness, Ms. Mason, actually came to his house with 2 friends to fight him. And of course, my client has an injury. He's scratched, he has a scratch on his person. We did not hear about any convictions for violence, Your Honor. And I am requesting a signature bond on Mr. Etemakwar's behalf, Your Honor. We are unopposed to the no contact order, as my client does not want to have any contact. And in light of that hold, of course, I think that, he was unaware of that warrant. So we are interested in certainly getting him released so that he can tend to that matter, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. If Ms. Mason is on the line, this is your opportunity to address the court. If you would like to, you are not required to. But if you would like to address the court, you'll have to activate your camera, unmute yourself, and I'll have to swear you in.
Hi,
Right. Would you like to address the court, ma'am?
yes,
Can you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
yes, sir.
Thank you. You can put your hand down. What would you like to tell the court, ma'am?
I didn't come with two friends to fight him. He was harassing my friends and I, calling me no caller ID, telling me to come and meet him. So I didn't approach him to fight him, and I also didn't lay a finger on him. I didn't do anything but ask him nicely to move out of the way of the door so that I can leave.
Okay, and it's my understanding that you don't want any further contact. Is that correct, ma'am?
Okay.
I'm sorry, you froze a moment. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate it. Ms. Gant, your client has his hand up.
Mr. Timikwar, I would advise you to remain silent. The judge is about to rule.
All right, so it's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through the jail, no further contact with Taylor Mason, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. All right, good luck to you, sir.
And Your Honor, just for the record, the state would like to add the defendant's lack of ties to the community for further reason of surety, just to perfect the record. Thank you.
Thank you. Who do we have next?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Position
Your Honor,
Mccree,
Your Honor,
Yes, Ms. Gant?
is there a one-day anger awareness?
No, there's not.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, just for clarification, that was a $3,000 signature through pretrial,
Through the jail.
through the jail, no further contact, and no alcohol, drugs, and weapons?
That's correct, Ms. Mitchell.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Who do we have?
position 14, Mccree.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. McCree. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Thank you. You have been charged in case 22 CR 004423E with simple battery, family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
This is fourth cycle. Last cycle was 2018 out of U.S. Army. Possession of a Schedule 1, 2, or 3 controlled substance. Before that was 2014, I'm sorry, probation for suspended license, which came off of 2013 suspended license NOLO. That's it.
Mr. Segura?
This occurred yesterday, July the 10th, 2022, and which also responded to a fight call at 284 Judy Lane, Southeast Atlanta. In this case, the police spoke with the victim, Ms. Alexis Henry. Alexis spelled Alexis, Henry, common spelling. And she said that so argument began due to she asking the defendant about doing more housework in the home. As such, this physical altercation began in which the defendant pushed Ms. Henry to the ground. Due to the facts, there shouldn't be other cases, as it was Ms. Henry's father, Ms. Alexi Henry, Alexi, who called 911 and stated that Ms. Henry told him that the defendant kicked Ms. Henry in the back of her head. And as such, the state is recommending a $4,000 surety bond, 1-day anger awareness, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, a stay away from the 284 Judy Lane, Southeast Atlanta location, and no further contact with Ms. Alexis Henry. The state is recommending this bond, and we have a strong objection to any type of signature bond because extreme nature of these actions. And alongside, the defendant admitted to being a primary aggressor. He admitted to pushing Ms. Henry to the ground. And alongside, when we spoke with Ms. Henry earlier today, they did state that she did have an injury to her eye. And because of these facts, we have extreme concern about her safety. Alongside, we are concerned that even if he is out on bond, he will return to to the incident location as they're all married and they do have 2 kids at home. Because of the extreme risk to Ms. Henry and due to the fact it only occurred yesterday, we are recommending a surety bond. Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Gannett?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Joshua Mccree is 30 years old. He has been in the Atlanta, Georgia, his entire life. He's been married to the complaining witness, Ms. Henry, for 8 years. They share 2 daughters, ages 7 and 4. They all live together in the marital home at the incident location. Your Honor, we are opposed to the stay away. I did have the occasion to speak to Mrs. Henry. She advised me that she wants to continue having contact with her, and she informed me that she also would be on the Zoom call as well. Your Honor, we would ask instead for a no violent contact order. A little bit more about Mr. Mccree. He completed high school. He does have some college credits in audio engineering. Your Honor, he served in the Army for 4 years, and for that service, he is disabled, 70% to be exact. He denies the allegations. We did not hear about any violent convictions, and Your Honor, my client is presumed innocent. His last contact with law enforcement was 2018 for a non-violent offense. Therefore, again, I'm requesting a signature bond as he has recommended. And again, we are opposed to the no contact and the stay away orders. Thank you.
Okay, if Ms. Henry's on the line, this is your opportunity to address the court. If you would like to address the court, which you're not required to do, you'll have to activate your camera for me and unmute yourself, and I'll have to swear you in. Okay, it doesn't appear that Ms. Henry's either on the line or wishes to.
I couldn't, I'm sorry, I couldn't get it to unmute.
Okay, you're fine, Ms. Henry. Can you activate your camera for me? Ms. Henry?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you. Can you activate your camera?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, there you go. Can you raise your right hand for me, ma'am?
Yeah.
Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you can put your hand down. What would you like to tell the court?
I just wanted to reiterate, I didn't want a no contact order, and I would like him to come home. And if possible, could we get a signature bond, as we wouldn't be able to actually pay a bond?
Are you afraid of him?
No.
Has this happened before?
No.
All right, anything further?
No.
All right, thank you, ma'am. We appreciate it.
May I ask Ms. Henry a couple questions?
Okay, go ahead.
Your Honor, I object. We've heard from the witness. She has expressed her wishes.
Okay, so with objection, Mr. Segura, go ahead.
Ms. Henry, so why it was your dad who called the police, correct?
Yes.
But why did he do so?
Because we were creating a disturbance with our argument.
What do you mean?
We were too loud.
It said in the police report that there was some pushing or some type of actions.
Oh. My dad, I'm not sure what he told the police or what he stated, but there was no fighting. As I let the police know, we weren't fighting. It was just a very loud argument that we carried outside.
You told us this morning that you had some sort of injury to the eye, didn't you?
Yes, from when I fell.
Oh, how did you fall? You don't mind me asking.
Oh, I do, honestly. I'm not afraid of my husband, and I just wanted to log on to let them know I didn't want a no contact order, and I would like him to come home.
I see. But didn't were you in the presence when the police arrested your husband?
Yes.
It says here that your husband did admit to being a primary aggressor. Do you know why he would say that?
Because the police were
Objection,
kind of
Your Honor,
pressuring
calls for
the situation.
speculation.
Yes, it does, Ms. Gant. Go ahead. Anything further, Mr. Segura?
Just a couple more. It says that back in the June 10th that he threatened you. Is this correct?
No.
It isn't. Okay, that's all my questions. Thank you.
Okay. It's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial, 1-day anger awareness, no further violent contact with Ms. Henry, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Mccree.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Welcome. Who do we have next?
Position 10.
Position number 11, Judge, the interpreter case, please, in courtroom 3. Thank you.
Okay, is that all right? All right, so this is position 11, is that correct?
Yes, Judge, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Interpreter, Mr. Cho, if you can raise your right hand for me, sir. Do you swear affirm that to the best of your ability, you would translate from Mandarin to English and English to Mandarin?
I do, Your Honor.
Thank you. And now you can have Mr. He put his hand down.
何先生，你不用举手的，你请放下手。
Good afternoon, Mr. He. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. We are conducting this hearing by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
午安，何先生我是法官 Eric Morrow 你今天同不同意我们今天做的这个紧急听证因为你这些控诉的案子还没有决定，但是我们要在网上，因为要怕这个疫情来传染给人，所以乐不乐意的，我们现在在这边做这样子的听证，你说可以吗？
也可以。
Yes, yes, Your Honor. Yes.
Thank you. You've been charged with stalking.
被控诉的罪名就是跟梢。
Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
I got first arrest, but this would be SOB jail if you see fit.
Your Honor, we would also agree with the signature bond. Mr. He, I'm told is pronounced actually Mr. Her.
I'm sorry, Ms. Kennedy. What I'd like to do is I'd like to hear from the state first, and I'll be happy to, so I can get a little background, and then I'm happy to hear from you, okay?
Sure.
All right, Mr. Segura, please keep in mind that you're using an interpreter, okay?
Okay. This case occurred on March the 20th, 2022.
案子是在3月20号2022年的3月20号发生的。
In this case, the defendant attended a birthday party at a karaoke bar in Gwinnett County.
这是被告呢在那一次呢在4月份的时候参加了一个卡拉 OK 在那边庆祝，在那边玩娱乐。
At that point, the defendant and the victim, Ms. Yutao Wang, Yutao spelled Y-U-T-A-O, Wang, common spelling, met.
这个被告呢跟这个叫王玉桃小姐他们都是在参加这个这个派对的。
At that point, the defendant attempted to both kiss and hug Ms. Wang.
在聚会里面呢，这一个被告呢竟然要去抱人家，要去抱这个王小姐。
Ms. Wang declined the defendant's advances.
那这个王小姐呢，不容许这个何先生来做这样子的不好的这个动作。
At that point, the defendant put Ms. Wang in a headlock.
在那时候呢，他就把这个王小姐呢把她给弄到旁边去了。
In turn, Ms. Wang punched the defendant in the face, making him angry.
然后后来他就把这个拳头对准这个被告他就让他生气了。
At that point, he was witness saying that he will follow her and kill her.
后来呢，他就继续的来也是气没消这个被告呢就继续跟着王小姐走。
Ms. Wang left the karaoke bar and drove from Gwinnett into Fulton.
后来王小姐就离开了这地方，从Gwinnett呢回到 Fulton 回来了。
The defendant also followed her into Fulton County.
后来呢，被告呢也是一样的，从国内继续的跟随到Fulton County 来了。
Other people in the area from the party attempted to dissuade him from following home, but he continued to do so.
照理说呢 ，party 结束了就应该大家就闪掉了。结果呢，这个被告呢不断的来骚扰，继续的来跟随这个王小姐。
Ms. Wang was afraid, so she drove past her road that she would normally take to go home, and she went to a Chevron gas station.
王小姐害怕了就赶快在下高速公路之后跑到一个 gas station， 跑到一个加油站进去了。
At the gas station, which is the instant location, she called 911.
就是我们说的发生事故地方，她就在那个加油站地方打电话，打了911 911。
At that point, the defendant left before police arrived.
在警察来到之前呢，被告就赶快逃掉了。
Because of this, the state is asking for a $3,000 surety bond.
由于这样的事故发生呢，本周要来叫他来，目前要交保的话是3000块钱。
We're also asking for no alcohol, drugs, and weapons.
那我们要求不准喝酒，在这一个保释期间不能拿枪不能够有任何的吸毒的问题。
And no further contact with Utah Wong.
也不能跟王玉桃小姐有任何的接触。
Allegations are based on these facts.
由于刚才我们给他的这些事实我们都有这些证据在。
And we also concern about Ms. Wong's safety.
而且为了王小姐的安全，我们来考虑。
As not only to attempt to make advances on Ms. Wong, but he also attacked her and then followed her across different counties.
有这样的情况下，我们要求王先生不但不准跟他接触之外，也不准跟他到他的州去不能到他的县那个他的住的那条线王小姐住的地方。
Thank you, Your Honor.
法官大人，谢谢你。
Ms. Haggerty.
Yes, Judge. Before you, you have Mr. Mingshan He, and please, I'm told that it's actually pronounced Her, Mingshan Her, so I apologize for, I'm sure, my butchering of the name. He is 41 years old, turns 42 on Wednesday. He's lived in the Atlanta area for the last 7 years with his wife and son, who is now 20 years old, lives in DeKalb County, Georgia, Your Honor.
Just give the interpreter a moment.
I'm sorry.
王先生何先生，我跟法官大人讲一下，就是由于刚才我们发音可能发错了是应该姓何不姓 he 是何先生何明山先生，他目前在亚特兰大已经住过7年了，他已经有一个这过2天他就是42岁生日，他有20岁的一个儿子我们希望他在这一集接下去法官就说他不要讲了，然后我们再请他发言。
He has completed high school and works with a permit here in the United States as the owner of a massage parlor in Chambly.
他完成的学业是高中文凭，目前他在 Chambly 那个地方呢，他有一个他自己开的一个按摩店。
My understanding of the alleged incident timeframe was it was in March of this year, and he was arrested on Saturday, July 9th.
据我的理解呢，他目前因为是在礼拜6被逮捕的，但事实上这案子是在3月份就发生了。
So I would argue, Your Honor, that if the incident was some months ago and there's been no further incident from March until July, he's not any sort of threat to intimidate witnesses, and is not a flight risk because he has strong ties in the Atlanta area as well as his family and his business.
那我在看这么多个月，从3月到8月份还没逮捕期间，他更就没有在跟他骚扰他，也没有什么样子的问题，没有什么惧怕。我不认为这个是被告有这样子的困难，而且他目前跟我们的亚特兰大有这么深的关系，他自己有店在里面，所以我认为应该没问题的。
This is his first arrest, Your Honor, and at almost 42 years old.
他已经都快42岁了，而且是第一次被逮捕的。
And I would also argue, you know, who knows? Obviously, he's presumed innocent, but there appear to be no witnesses to this charge, and why it would occur in Fulton County versus Gwinnett County, I have no idea. But it sounds like there's jurisdictional issues.
而且呢，这些有一个地方我想要来争辩的，就是他根本就没有证人，而且是2个辖区，一个是Gwinnett一个是富登，所以说我认为这个在里面还有可以有争辩的余地。
We have no problem with the no further contact with the named victim, Utah Wong. If I could just get the spelling of that again, and we would ask for a signature bond, Your Honor.
我没有问题。如果要我们不要跟这位叫王玉涛小姐有任何的见面当然没有问题，我们已经不接触。那我也要求法官给他自己保释不要给他保释金，就让他自己出去。
Your Honor, if I could quickly add.
Go ahead.
Dak will answer some of these questions as a Devonance, as well as another act according to Gwinnett. Those are handled in Gwinnett, but the stalking is called in Fulton, and so the Fulton has jurisdiction over that. Alongside the wall witnesses agree, in fact, there was a Ming Sean He, Ming spelled M-I-N-G.
That's my client's name, sir.
Utah, Afan Bean Mang. F-A-N-B-I-N, Mang, common spelling. Zailing Chow, Zining spelled Zhiliang, Chow, Qiau, and Gurong Smith, Gurong, Guiong, Smith. Alongside, we are saying in regards to this point of March, this only means that he just evaded arrest until now. And because this is just an extra insurance that he is a flight risk, and the rest could be handled in trial, Your Honor. Thank you.
我们认为这并不是说没有证人，我们有好几个证人，而且呢，Gwinnett County跟我们所谓的这一个叫做我们在这个 Fulton County 当时发生说打电话的地方啊，所以辖区是用他打电话是在加油站，所以是应该是在我们的 Fulton County 是没有错的。那证人里面有包括什么叫做什么前QIAO 乔治林还有这一个什么顾捞什么 Smith 好几个证人在里边，所以我们到时候呢，我们准备好要来跟他上庭。我们因为是3月份的案子，但是我们并没有因为时间的问题，我们继续要来上诉。到时候我们有一个陪审团。
It's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through the jail.
我们到时候呢给他自己出去虽然是3000块不要跟他交罚金，就可以从法院从监狱出去。
No further contact with Utah Wong, Yutaowong.
Okay. 不能跟王玉桃有任何的一个接触玉桃是就是YUTAOWANG 这位小姐，你不要跟她有任何的接触，在这保释期间。
好的。
Drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
在保释期间也是一样的，还没有上庭期间，这段期间还没有上庭以前，都不能喝酒，也不能够吸毒，也不能够带武器，知道吗？
好的。
Yes, thank you, Honor.
Anything further on Mr. Ming-Shan?
Nothing from the defense, Your Honor.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Okay. You all have a good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Cho. We appreciate your help this afternoon.
Thank you, Honor. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. 请问我不需要交保释金就可以出去了，是吗？
是的，你去跟你太太讲打电话。
Thank you.
Who do we have next?
Position number 2, please, Judge.
Good afternoon again, Madam Interpreter. If you raise your right hand, do you swear affirm to the best of your ability, interpret between Spanish and English to Spanish?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Arana. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we are conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Buenas tardes, señor Arana. Yo soy el juez Eric Morrow y esta es la audiencia de lista de causas estatales de todo tipo, de trámite rápido. Estamos conduciendo esta teleaudiencia para evitar el contagio del virus. ¿Está de acuerdo con que tratemos su caso de esta manera?
Sí.
Yes.
You have been charged with battery family violence.
Usted tiene un cargo por golpes y violencia familiar.
Is there a history, Mr. Howard, other than what's
¿Hay
in-
antecedentes, señor Howard?
11 total.
11 en total.
Last arrest was 2013, misdemeanor possession of marijuana.
En el 2013, por tenencia de marihuana.
2009, misdemeanor possession of marijuana.
En el 2009 también un delito menor de tenencia de marihuana.
2008, shoplifting conviction.
I'm sorry, what was the charge, sir?
2008, shoplifting conviction.
I cannot hear the charge, sir. I'm sorry.
Shoplifting.
Oh, thank you. En el 2008, por ratería de tiendas.
All right, the only violence is a 1986 arrest, capital offense.
El último delito menor ocurrió en 1986.
That's it.
Eso es todo.
Ms. Mitchell?
Señora Mitchell.
Yes, Your Honor, in this case, the defendant battered his ex-girlfriend, who he used to live with, Miss Demetria Franklin.
One moment, please. En este caso, el acusado golpeó a su exnovia, la señorita Demetria Franklin.
Spelled D-E-M-E-T-R-I-A.
Deletreado D-E-M-I-T-R-A.
He battered her by getting into a physical dispute, leaving her with a laceration on her arm and scratches on her neck area.
La dejó después de la disputa con rasguños o heridas en el brazo y en el cuello.
When officers arrived on scene, Miss Franklin was locked outside, not fully dressed, and appeared to be only wearing underwear.
Cuando los oficiales de policía llegaron, la señorita Franklin estaba afuera sin ropas y parecía que solo estaba con su ropa interior.
The defendant was standing behind the metal screen door, refusing to open it for her.
Y el acusado estaba parado detrás de la puerta media, rechazando abrirla.
Miss Franklin and defendant got into a tussle where she believed the defendant stabbed her in her arm.
La señorita Franklin con el acusado estuvieron involucrados en una pelea donde la señorita Franklin cree que el acusado la apuñaló.
But she was unable to determine what object he used.
Pero ella no pudo determinar qué objeto él usó.
She just knows that she felt a stabbing and she has a laceration on her arm as a result.
Ella sabe que sintió ser apuñalada y que quedó con un desgarro en el brazo.
Officers noted that the defendant also appeared to be intoxicated.
Y los oficiales de policía también notaron que el acusado parecía estar embriagado.
All Miss Franklin wanted to do was get her belongings and leave.
Lo único que quería la señorita Franklin era recoger sus pertenencias e irse.
Miss Franklin stated many times that she didn't want to press charges.
Y la señorita Franklin declaró varias veces que ella no quería presentar cargos.
But this wasn't the first incident between the two. This wasn't the first incident between the two.
Pero este no fue el primer incidente ocurrido entre ellos dos.
Officers remembered a time before where Miss Franklin, well, there was another dispute at the same incident location.
Los oficiales recuerdan que entre la señorita Franklin y el acusado hubo otro incidente en la misma dirección.
And according to the police report, there were 7 calls at this incident location for a domestic dispute.
Y de acuerdo a los oficiales, hubieron 7 llamadas venidas de este lugar debido a disputas domésticas.
Your Honor, the state is recommending a $3,000 surety bond, no further contact with the victim, a stay away from the incident location so long as the victim doesn't live there anymore, a 1-day anger awareness course, and no alcohol, drugs, and weapons.
La fiscalía recomienda una fianza, de $3,000, no tener más contacto violento con la víctima, mantenerse alejado de la residencia donde ocurrió el incidente, a no ser que la víctima no viva más allí, y tomar una clase de concientización de la ira, y queda prohibida todo uso de drogas, alcohol y armas.
The state has concerns of defendants' risk of reoffending.
Y la fiscalía tiene la inquietud y la preocupación de que el acusado vuelva a recometer el mismo delito.
The defendant is a convicted felon with a violent history, and he's been incarcerated for over 15 years.
El acusado tiene un historial de violencia y ha también sido condenado con más de 15 años en prisión.
This is also a battery family violence case, which Your Honor knows the state takes very seriously.
También esto es un caso de violencia familiar. Como su señoría sabe, la fiscalía lo toma muy seriamente.
And so we will object to any signature bond, and we are recommending the $3,000 surety bond. Thank you.
Por eso objetamos a que se le otorgue una fianza bajo firma y recomendamos una fianza de $3,000 bajo garantía.
Scared?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Pedro Arana is 72 years old.
El señor Pedro Orana tiene 72 años.
He was born in Cuba, but has been in the United States for 41 years.
Él nació en Cuba, pero ha estado en los Estados Unidos por 41 años.
He informs me that his wife died 3 years ago.
Y su esposa falleció hace 3 años.
He completed high school and has 1 year of college where he studied English.
Él terminó su escuela secundaria y fue a la universidad por 1 año donde estudió inglés.
He is employed at Cleveland Carter Interpreter Services. However, he is in the process of retiring.
Él trabaja en la compañía llamada Cleveland Carter Intérprete, pero está en el proceso de jubilarse.
My client denies the allegations. He states that these are all lies and that the complaining witness hit him with a stick, and he more so took actions to stop her from harming him.
Mi cliente niega este alegato y explica que la víctima o llamada víctima lo golpeó a él con un palo en la espalda y él solo intentó detenerla.
I would ask that Your Honor focus on the battery family violence charge that is before you and not any uncorroborated information about past violence between the two parties, Your Honor.
Yo quisiera pedirle su señoría que por favor se enfoque en este último cargo de violencia familiar y no todos los otros antecedentes ocurridos entre ellos dos de violencia.
While I acknowledge my client's history, I would bring to the court's attention that my client's last contact with law enforcement was in 2013.
Y también quisiera que prestara atención a que el último contacto de mi cliente con la fuerza del orden fue en el 2013.
And we believe that any matters from 1986 are far too remote for the court to consider.
Y creemos que todos los acontecimientos de 1986 son muy remotos para que su señoría los considere hoy.
I received a report that my client is eligible for a signature bond. Therefore, I'm requesting a signature bond.
Yo he recibido información de que mi cliente cumple los requisitos para recibir una fianza bajo firma. Por eso estoy pidiendo a su señoría que se le otorgue una fianza bajo firma.
Mr. Arana informs me that the incident location is his residence and that the complaining witness, Ms. Franklin, moved out 2 months ago.
Mi cliente, el señor Arana, ha declarado que es el que vive, que es la residencia de él y que la señora, I'm sorry, what was the last name, the victim's last name?
Franklin.
Thank you. De que la señora Franklin se mudó hace 2 meses.
Therefore, we are opposed to the stay away, but would request a no contact order as my client does not want any contact either.
No nos oponemos a mantenerse el alejado de ella y también pedimos que se ordene que no haya contacto entre ellos ya que mi cliente no quiere verla más.
And the no contact order will certainly take care of any concerns regarding reoffending, although my client is presumed innocent.
Y esa orden de no tener contacto va a solucionar todos los problemas de que pueda mi cliente volver a obtener otro cargo.
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
No más, no nada más. Muchas gracias.
Your Honor, may I add something?
Go ahead.
No, we just like to note per the police report that one of the incidences between these two involved a knife.
También quería decir que entre estos dos incidentes mencionados, en un informe de la policía se menciona un cuchillo.
And although this may be the first arrest where he's been caught putting his hands on Miss Franklin,
y aunque este sea el primer arresto en donde se lo encontró a él poniendo sus manos sobre la señorita Franklin,
there is a clear showing of escalation violence in this case between this defendant and the victim.
Hay una demostración de un claro aumento de violencia entre este acusado y la víctima.
And that's based on the victim's statement to the police and the officer's observations, nothing further.
Y esto se basa en las declaraciones de la víctima dadas a la policía y las observaciones de los oficiales. Nada más.
It's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through the jail.
Habrá una fianza de bajo firma de $3,000 a través de la cárcel.
No further contact with Demetria Franklin.
No tener más contacto con Demetria Franklin.
And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Y quedan prohibidos el uso de alcohol, drogas y armas mientras esté bajo fianza.
Good luck to you, sir.
Buena suerte, señor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Who do we have next? Courtroom 3.
We have position number 24 next.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we are conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Buenas. Is this Mr. Luis Rujana?
Is this is
yeah.
position 24, Mr.
Yes, Mr. Luis.
Valdivielso?
Señor, yo soy el juez Eric Morrow y esta es la audiencia de listas de causas estatales de trámite rápido. Estamos conduciendo esta teleaudiencia para evitar el contagio del virus. ¿Está de acuerdo en que conduzcamos su caso en esta forma?
Sí.
Yes.
You've been charged with simple battery.
Usted tiene un cargo por golpes y lesiones.
Your history, Mr. Howard?
Hay antecedentes, señor Howard.
His third arrest,
Este es su tercer arresto.
November 2021, driving without a valid license conviction. October 2021, DUI out of Marietta. SOB jail.
Hay un arresto por no tener licencia del noviembre del 2021 y en octubre del 2021 por manejar bajo los efectos del alcohol en Marietta.
Sparkus?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred on July 9th, 2022.
Este incidente ocurrió, su señoría, el 9 de julio del 2022.
An officer was dispatched to 928 Canton Street at the Rock and Taco.
Y los oficiales fueron enviados al 928 de Canton Street en Rock and Taco.
This was in reference to a physical altercation.
Y esto tenía referencia a un altercado físico.
An officer who was working an extra job at that location advised that a male was in a fight at the bar.
Y un oficial que estaba trabajando en un empleo extra dijo que un varón empezó una pelea.
Upon the officer's arrival, the defendant was already in custody.
Cuando llegaron los oficiales, el acusado ya estaba bajo custodia.
The victim, Mr. Zachary Leon. Leon is spelled Leon. He also works as security at the location.
La víctima, el señor Zachary León, Leon, también trabaja en seguridad en este lugar.
He asked the defendant to leave the establishment, and in response, the defendant slapped Mr. Leon.
Él le pidió al acusado que se fuera del lugar y como respuesta el acusado le dio una cachetada al señor León.
The slap landed on the right side of Mr. Leon's face, and video footage was provided by the location.
La cachetada terminó golpeando la parte derecha de la cara del señor León y se otorgó un video creado en el lugar.
Your Honor, the state is recommending a $3,000 surety bond, a no further contact with Mr. Zachary Leon, a stay away from that incident location, which I believe was 928 Canton Street in Roswell, Georgia, a one-day anger awareness, and a no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Though this defendant does not have a substantial criminal history, the nature of the event or the incident, Your Honor, it was just violent. And so the state takes violence very serious. And so we're asking that it be a surety bond as opposed to a signature bond, and nothing further from the state.
Se pide que la fianza de garantía sea de $3,000, no tener más contacto con el señor Zachary León, que se mantenga fuera del lugar, que creemos que es 928 en Canton Street en Roswell, Georgia, que tome una clase de concientización de la ira, que queden prohibidos el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas, y a pesar de que este acusado no tiene antecedentes, la naturaleza violenta del acto cometido es algo que la Fiscalía toma muy en serio, por eso recomendamos esta fianza de $3,000 bajo garantía.
Nothing further at this time, Your Honor.
Nada más en este momento, su señoría.
All right, it's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through the jail. Stay away from the Rock and Taco. No further contact with Mr. Leon, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Does that suit you, Ms. St. Flex?
Yes, Your Honor.
Entonces queda establecido que serán $3,000 de fianza bajo firma a través de la cárcel, no tener más contacto con el señor Zachary León y mantenerse alejado, distanciado del Rock and Taco, y queda prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras esté bajo fianza.
Good luck to you, sir.
Buena suerte, señor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, do we need a Madam Interpreter for anyone else?
I don't think so, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Chancellor. I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, perdón. I heard something is. ¿Cómo dice, señor?
¿Cómo es la asignatura bajo fianza? No la entiendo cómo debe ser el proceso.
I don't understand the process of bond or getting out at a bond.
Ms. St. Flex can speak to him after the session.
El señor o señorita Flex pueden explicarle después de esta sesión.
He's going to be able to sign himself out.
Usted va a poder salir de la cárcel solamente con su firma. Okay.
Permítele que si yo también.
Ask him if I will also get out by signing.
Is this Mr.? Yes, he got a signature bond also.
Sí, usted, señor, también puede salir bajo firma y después regresar.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jansen. We'll see you next time. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir. You're welcome.
Who do we have next? Courtroom 2.
Next, we have position 10, Mr. Gay.
Good afternoon, Mr. Gay. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, Mr. Gay. You've been charged in case 22 CR 004419Y with battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Got 23 total. Last was 2018 probate, shoplifting out of Henry County. He's on probation for that. He has 3 holds. He got an FTA warrant out of Covington, probation out of McDonough, and probation out of Lawrenceville. Let's see. 2018 fade to appear out of Gwinnett. Shoplifting Conviction 2017. 2016 shoplifting dead docket. 2016 FTA shoplifting. They got a lot of theft. Let's see. I don't know if I saw any violence. Hold on. He had an 05 ag assault that was dead docket. That's the only violence I saw.
Okay,
That's
thank you. Mr. Segura?
This occurred back on April the 2nd, 2020, in which officers responded to a fight call at 65 Kenyon Street, Southeast Atlanta. In this case, police spoke with the caller on Miss Kenneth Butler, Kenneth common spelling, Butler common spelling, which said there was a fight between him and his stepson. This all started when Mr. Butler took the defendant and the defendant's kids to McDonald's and then to a liquor store and then returned home. While traveling in the vehicle, the defendant's kids were unruly, and so Mr. Butler decided to kind of correct them and admonish their behavior. At some point, when they arrived home, Mr. Butler was going into his house. At that point, the defendant shoved his hand on Mr. Butler's back head while they were walking home alongside. And at that point, Mr. Butler forgave him, but when he came inside the home, at that point, the defendant struck Mr. Butler on the back of his head, causing Mr. Butler to fall face first onto concrete stairs. When police came to see him, they noticed that he had swelling, a lot of serious swelling on his right eye, abrasions on his hands and wrist, and that he was also bleeding out of his nose. Because of this, the state is recommending a $5,000 surety bond, 1-day anger awareness, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, a stay away from 65 Canyon Street, Southeast Atlanta, and no further contact with Kenneth Butler. Foundations are based on these facts, as well as have strong concerns about the safety of Ms. Butler. As the police report noted, the victim, Mr. Butler, is the defendant's stepfather, and so he actually lives in the address. Alongside, Mr. Butler said that he is a cancer patient, so he is in a situation where he's basically at the mercy of the defendant if they do make contact, and there is another argument that explodes into a fight. Alongside, we have concern about the defendant being a danger to the community, as he does have 3 outstanding warrants, as pretrial noted, a 2019 probation violation, a 2019 second probation violation in 2019, and an FTA in 2018. Because of this shows that he is a threat risk. Alongside, we also have several FTAs in 2008, a 2009 probation violation. Alongside, he also have FTAs again for another one in 2018 and in 2016. Because of this, we all have concerns not only about the defendant's, about Mr. Butler's safety, but also if out on bond, the defendant will actually return to court when it is time for him to be so. Because of this, we'll have strong objections to any type of signature bond, and we feel like a surety bond will be convincing enough for the defendant to actually arrive in court. Thank you.
Ms. Gant?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Martres Gay is 39 years old. He has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area his entire life. He is the proud father of 7 children. All children live with him. His children are ages 10 to 18. Your Honor, we are opposed to the stay away at the incident location. Mr. Gay informs me that Mr. Butler passed away. about 7 months ago. He informed me that prior to his passing, Mr. Gay was very instrumental in helping Mr. Butler with his activities of daily living and any other needs that he had. Mr. Gay completed high school. No, I'm sorry, Your Honor, he completed the 11th grade. He is currently employed part-time at Turner Landscaping. He has been in that position for about 1 year. My client denies the allegations, and Your Honor, I do have some concerns about the statute of limitations. This case is alleged to have occurred in April of 2020, if I read that correctly, Your Honor. I am requesting a signature bond. My client has a history primarily for theft. Your Honor, the violence matter was dead docketed back in 2005. Again, we are opposed to the stay away. And of course, since the complaining witness has succumbed, we don't believe that there's a need for no contact order, Your Honor. I'm requesting a signature bond if Your Honor determines that he is ineligible, then a bond of no more than $1,000. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to release him to the whole. So it's going to be a $5,000 signature bond through the jail. No further violent contact if Mr. Butler is still alive with Mr. Butler, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
We also had that 1-day anger wellness.
No, Mr. Segura. Anything further on Mr. Gay?
Nothing further from this defense, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Gay. Who do we have next?
I'm sorry, Judge, I stepped away for a second and my phone's ringing. What was the bond amount?
$5,000 signature bond through the jail.
5,000. Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Next, we have position 9, Mr. Ford. I'm not sure if this one needed the breakout. If it does, we can do that one last.
Okay, I think that
We can do it now. That's fine. It's okay, Judge.
Okay. So Ms. Gant, we needed a breakout for Mr. Ford.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Okay. So who is presenting for the state for Mr. Ford?
That'll be me, Your Honor.
Okay. So I guess Ms. Gant, Ms. Mitchell, myself, Mr. Walker, anyone else need to be in the breakout room?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So if you could put us in a breakout room, please. All right, courtroom 2, we've had a discussion with counsel regarding Mr. Ford. It's gonna be a $1,000 good bond on each charge, which makes it a total of a $2,000 good bond. Stay away from high velocity, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond, and mental health evaluation. Okay,
So Your Honor, is that a signature bond? While it's not out?
Mr. Ford, I'll give you a call and let you know.
Okay.
okay, thank you, courtroom 2. Who do we have next?
All right, you can have a seat over there. Position 7, Dukes.
First arrest.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Dukes. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Thank you. You've been charged in case 22 CR 004417G with simple assault, family violence. I'm told that it's his first arrest. Ms. Mitchell?
Yes, Your Honor, in this case, the defendant assaulted his father, Mr. Marvin Dukes, by getting into his face in an angry manner over money and living arrangements. Mr. Dukes, an elderly person, was so afraid that he had to fire his weapon into the living room ceiling in his defense. Your Honor, the state has concerns of defendant's risk of reoffending. Based on the father's statements, Mr. Dukes was able to speak to our victim advocate and stated that the defendant has been very, very violent towards him and his daughter, which is defendant's sister. He stated that the defendant has a drug problem and they've been trying to get him help, but he refuses. He also stated that the defendant easily gets upset when he refuses to give him money, and that the defendant steals from him and threatens him consistently. And he feels like the defendant has become very dangerous and he is fearful of the defendant. He stated that him and the sister filed a TPO against the defendant about 8 months ago, but it was denied. And that he does not want the defendant to return home and wants no contact. He also stated that the defendant will need to retrieve his belongings, so he will need a law enforcement escort.
Okay, Ms. Gant?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Martin Dukes is 31 years old. He has spent in the Atlanta, Georgia area his entire life. Your Honor, we are unopposed to the stay away at the incident location. My client does not want to have any contact with the complaining witness, and we are requesting that one-time law enforcement escort. Mr. Dukes completed high school. He is currently employed at Amazon. He has been in that position for the last 4 months. My client denies the allegations. He denies any drug problems, Your Honor, and this is his first arrest. He's 31 years old, never been in any trouble. We do not have to worry about any concerns for reoffending as my client is presumed innocent. And furthermore, with the no contact and stay away orders, we think that that'll take care of that. Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, the state would like to put its recommendation on the record before we
go
move
ahead, Ms.
forward. That's going to be a $1,500 surety bond, no further contact with the victim, stay away from incident location 1639 Lawrence Way, Southwest Atlanta, Georgia, a BHUT, a one-day anger awareness, and no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I do apologize for speaking. I thought that you'd asked me to speak. I do apologize. We are opposed to the BHET. My client is recommended for a signature bond. Therefore, I'm requesting a signature bond, Your Honor.
Okay. I see Mr. Marvin Dukes on the line. Mr. Dukes, if you would like to have address the court, now is the time for that. You're not required to, but if you would like to address the court, I'll need for you to raise your right hand for me. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. What would you like to tell the court, Mr. Dukes?
Well, my son he is on drugs, even though he says he's not. And he's brought a lot of fear into this house. And he scared us, and he does say he'll kill us and all that. I don't need him to come back to the house. But this is what I would like to say. I would plead with y'all to try to get him some help, because he really needs some help. And I took him to Wellstar, and they had him a place to go to, but he would not go. And then I took him to another place up on Marietta Street, and they were going to take him in, and he would not go there. He needs to go to some kind of rehabilitation, judge. And I plead with you for that if you could help me.
Okay, I appreciate that, Mr. Dukes. Unfortunately, this is a bond hearing today. Regarding the bond, I am going to require that that he have no drugs or alcohol while he is out on bond. And if he's in violation of that, then he'll be in violation of my bond order. But I appreciate what you've had to say. Anything further, counsel, on Mr. Martin Dukes?
Your Honor, based on what Mr. Dukes has stated, we recommend the ADAT instead of the BHUT. Thank you.
Okay, it's going to be a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with Marvin Dukes, stay away from the 1639 address. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings, no drugs, no alcohol or weapons while out on bond. All right, good luck to you, Mr. Dukes. Both Mr. Dukeses. Thank you.
Your Honor.
Position 4, Brewer.
Good afternoon, Mr. Brewer. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. Before I get into this, Mr. Murphy, have you had a chance to speak with your clients at the South Annex?
I have. I've spoken with both, Your Honor.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. All right, thank you. Back to position 4, Mr. Brewer. Good afternoon, Mr. Brewer. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar conducted by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking, Mr. Brewer. You've been charged in case 22 CR 004413B with fare evasion and criminal trespass. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
51. Last arrest was May 2nd for trespass on Marta. Had an open DUI in Decatur, hit and run, reckless driving, on probation for burglary, 11 SC 105143. In 2012, they gave him 5 years to serve and 15 years probation. Also on probation for public drunk and trespass. 22 CR 001794B. They gave him probation back in April for that. That's enough?
Yes, thank you. Ms. Mitchell?
Yes, Your Honor, in this case, the defendant was seen walking through an emergency fare gate without paying the required fee. The defendant also entered the MARTA station while having an active MARTA suspension issued on May 2nd of this year that expires on May 2nd of next year. There's a current $800 surety bond, $300 as to the first count, $500 as to the second, and the state's going to request that that bond remain the same with the stay away from all MARTA and no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. Your Honor, the state's concern here is defendant's risk of reoffending. He is a convicted felon with an extensive criminal history. This year alone, within a 5-month span, he's criminally trespassed 3 times in the same incident location, the MARTA 5 Point Station on 30 Alabama Street, Southwest Atlanta, Georgia. So based on that and his history, we are recommending the bond remain the same. Thank you.
All right. Can you unmute for me, courtroom 2, please? Mr. Brewer, you can't go back to MARTA, okay? You understand that?
Sir, can I say something?
Okay, no, don't say anything. I just want to say you cannot go back to MARTA. If I let you out, you have to tell me that you're not going to go back to MARTA.
I won't go back, sir.
Okay, put your hand down. Put your hand down. So it's going to be a $1,000 signature bond through the jail on each charge. Stay away from MARTA and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Now, Mr. Brewer, you're getting a chance. If you go back to MARTA and they arrest you again and you come back here, you're not going to get another signature bond. You understand me?
Sir, yes, sir.
Okay. Is that fine with you, Ms. Gant?
Absolutely, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Brewer. I don't expect to see you back here for going back to MARTA.
Ms. Gant.
I'll give you a call, sir.
All right, sir. Thank y'all. Y'all have a blessed day.
You do the same.
Position 23, Thomas.
Good afternoon, Mr. Thomas. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Good afternoon, and yes, I do, Your Honor.
Thank you. You've been charged in case 22 CR 004434D with driving under the influence of alcohol less safe. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
3rd arrest. Last was December 2021 in Forsyth for DUI. 2019 Brookhaven DUI conviction. That's it.
Ms. Bacchus?
Yes, Your Honor. It appears this incident occurred on July 9th, 2022. An officer was dispatched to an impaired driver call at the intersection of Bell and Bella Creed Roads in Johns Creek. When the officer arrived, he spoke to the witness, Samuel Barocas. Barocas is Barocas. And he stated that he saw the vehicle stopped at the stop sign on Bella Creek Road. When the vehicle didn't move, Mr. Barocas honked his horn in an attempt to get the vehicle to move, but was unsuccessful. And when the vehicle finally did move slightly enough for Mr. Barocas to get by, the defendant turned his vehicle slightly and tapped Mr. Barocas's car on the wheel. As the officer was talking with Mr. Barocas, he saw the defendant's vehicle move slightly, and it was because the defendant was pressing on the gas. So as the officer walked up to the defendant's vehicle, he said he could immediately smell the odor of alcohol coming from the vehicle. And according to the officer, the defendant also had bloodshot and watery eyes, and he was slurring his speech. When the defendant stepped out of the vehicle, he was stumbling and swaying the entire time. And when asked if he would take the field sobriety test, he said that he would. The officer attempted to conduct the horizontal gaze test, but the defendant could not follow the officer's finger. He couldn't look straight at the officer. And then the officer attempted to conduct the walk and turn, but the defendant could not get into a starting position due to his stumbling, and he was unable to follow instructions. So based on all the observations, the officer determined that the defendant was under the influence of alcohol, and he arrested him. Your Honor, based on the fact that there are DUIs in 2019 and 2021, DUIs are very serious, a danger to the defendant himself, as well as other people on the road. And the fact that he has a conviction and another open one thereafter, Your Honor, we feel as though the defendant does not want to heed to the court's instructions and doesn't take seriously how serious this offense is. And so for that reason, the state is asking for a $3,500 surety bond. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond. And if the defendant's driver's license is suspended, no driving unless it is to designate, no driving. If it's not suspended, no driving unless to designated locations. But if it is suspended, obviously no driving at all. Nothing further from the state, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. St. Plex?
Yes, Your Honor. In reference to Mr. I look frozen. Okay, there we go. In reference to Mr. Thomas' license situation, Your Honor, I believe that's dealt with at administrative hearings. He does have a private attorney for his other case. He said he has a court date in September for that. So because of that, I don't know what the private attorney has had or has not had as far as an administrative hearing when it comes to his license. So we would just ask that that part is left up to DDS or whatever is decided at the administrative hearing that automatically happens after these charges. He has a fiance who lives in Macon, so he does have ties to the community. He was working as a software engineer before he was arrested. That job ended on, I think he said last Friday or the Friday before. And then he was supposed to start another job this week. He does have today, he does have his bachelor's degree in biological engineering, if I'm correct. Yes, biological sciences. And he is doing an outpatient treatment, Your Honor. We're aware that he does have the 2019 conviction, but as I said, the court date for the 2020 case is in September, so we don't know the outcome of that case yet. But he is in an outpatient treatment from my conversation with him at Empowered Recovery Services in Marietta, Georgia. He goes there 4 days per week. He does have to do group therapy, individual therapy, medication management, and one-on-one counseling and treatment for his anxiety and depression. So for those reasons, Your Honor, we're asking If the court is not inclined to give a signature bond, we're asking for $1,000 good bond. His money is a bit tight right now since the last time he started working his other job. He hasn't started the new job yet.
Your Honor, just quickly, I understand that PD St. Flex is saying that he has ties to the community and a fiance, but those ties to the community, those people have not been helpful in helping him to not further reoffend with more DUIs. And the fact that he's in treatment right now and he's still getting out of treatment and then going straight to reoffending is even more reason why the state would object to the signature bond and ask for the surety. Nothing further.
It's going to be a $3,000 good bond. No driving except to and from work. He is to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. And within 48 hours of release, he is to report to DUI court. All right. Good luck.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I didn't understand. You said he's to report. Is the court ordering him to do DUI court or do it? Because he would have to go through an evaluation process.
Well, he has we have a referral system to DUI court with the state court, so that if you have 2 or more DUIs, this would be a 3rd DUI stop. So I'm referring him to the DUI court per the chief judge's instructions.
Okay, referral. Okay, I just wanted to make sure the order wasn't him doing, it's a referral. Okay, understood.
Okay. All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, you can have a seat. Position 25, Williams.
Good afternoon, Mr. Williams. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You've been charged in case 22 CR 004429J with criminal trespass and obstruction of a law enforcement officer. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Yeah. 39 total. Last arrest was back in October. Let's see. He had a 2020 probation, 2020 trespass, 2019 trespass. That last arrest was for PI. So he got quite a few arrests for those. 2018 possession of cocaine conviction. Another possession of cocaine conviction, 2018 probation. You want me to keep going?
You're good. Thank you, Ms. Bacchus.
Your Honor, this incident occurred on July 9, 2022. We have yet to receive the police report, but the warrants are detailed enough to give us context. It appears the defendant entered into the EWA beverage located at 123 Lucky Street in Atlanta. The owner and the store attendants asked the defendant to leave the premises, but he refused. The defendant then came into the restaurant. Well, I guess he came in and he was harassing customers and asking them for money. And when he would ask and they would say no, he would either ask for money or for them to buy him food, and they would say no, and he got angry and started throwing chairs, or he would throw things in the store. And so when the officer asked the defendant to place his hands behind his back, he basically just resisted and would not cooperate with the officer. You've heard the history, Your Honor. There's 37 cycles. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 convictions just in the last 3 years. And then there's a slew of arrests. Obviously, this defendant does not, he doesn't heed the court's instructions at all. He obviously has no problem reoffending and is not afraid of any sort of consequences. And so we're asking the court to impose a surety bond, not a signature bond, $2,000 surety bond, stay away from that incident location at 123 Lucky Street. And no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond. Nothing further from the state.
Thank you, Ms. St. Plex.
Your Honor, we would ask for a breakout room. I meant to ask before she started.
Okay. So if you can put me in a breakout room with Ms. St. Flex, Ms. Vargas, and Mr. Walker, please. Okay, it's going to, we've had an opportunity to discuss with counsel. For each charge, it's going to be a $5,000 good bond, making for a total of $1,000 good bond. There's going to be a social worker visit to Mr. Williams. Stay away from the 123 Lucky Street address. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
The total bond was, you said 5,000 good bond?
No, it's 500 per charge, which makes it $1,000 total good.
Thank you.
Okay? All right, good luck to you, Mr. Williams.
Position 15, McDonald.
Good afternoon, Mr. McDonald. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. McDonald, you've been charged in case 22 CR 004424A with pedestrian in a roadway, equipment required on a bicycle, and obstruction of a law enforcement officer. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
9 total between Georgia and South Carolina. Last arrest was 2021, suspended license. Attempting to elude an officer. They gave him 1 year to serve and 12 months probation for that in Walton County. So this is second Georgia arrest. Last arrest in South Carolina was 2020 DUI. Another 2020 DUI. 2019 possession of cocaine. That was dismissed. 2016 misdemeanor possession of marijuana. 2013 burglary second degree conviction. And 2013 petty larceny conviction.
Thank
He's a resident of Johns Island, South Carolina.
Thank you. Mr. Segura?
This occurred on Saturday, July the 9th, 2022, at an instant location of Georgia 400 South and Georgia 120 on the ramp. The police were conducted a traffic violation on the defendant at that instant location because they noticed that the defendant had no proper red wheel reflector equipment nor a front headlight on his bicycle, and he's also walking on the road. When the defendant, and also tried to instruct the defendant to come to the officer, he decided just to walk away. Again, she repeated him to come back, but he refused and just continued to walk away. At that point, the police tried to handcuff him. The defendant began to pull and push away from the officer until he had to be tased and arrested. The state is recommending a $2,000 surety bond, $500 for the pedestrian and roadway, $500 for the equipment crowd on bicycles, and $1,000 for the obstruction of a law enforcement officer. And we're asking for the condition of no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. The actions are based on the facts, as we also concerned he has a lack of community ties. As Petrice noted, he is a resident of South Carolina. As most recent case, he has also had a 2020 DUI in South Carolina. So we are concerned that he could just flee if he's out on bond. Alongside, we're concerned about working to when he is out on bond. He does has that outstanding warrant from November 2020 for forgery of checks. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, for the pedestrian and roadway, it's going to be $250 signature bond. For the bicycle, $250 signature bond. For the obstruction, a $500 signature bond. Makes it a total of $1,000 signature bond through the jail. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Does that suit you, Ms. St. Flex?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, good luck to you, Mr. McDonald.
Is there any way that I could possibly get an OR bond?
You did get an OR bond, Mr. McDonald. You got a signature bond.
You're good. Have a seat right there for me. So I've got a quick announcement.
I can't afford.
You don't have to
Hey,
pay
you don't have to pay
nothing. Have a
anything.
seat. Judge, for position 1, it's gonna be a medical reset.
Okay, till 7/12.
What number?
Position 1.
Okay.
I thought we did number one.
Your Honor, regarding position 1, she does not talk. She does not stand up. She just pretty much just sits there and look at the wall.
Okay.
She's gonna be the same way tomorrow.
Who's representing her?
Your Honor. Good afternoon, Your Honor. I am representing her and we will take care of it, Your Honor.
Okay,
We
so
need to have a breakout session because I don't want to hear anything about a Riverside issue if her first appearance doesn't happen the next day or two.
well, it's a medical reset, so there's not going to be.
I understand, but believe it or not, we've had medical resets before, and then we've been told it's Riverside. So, you know,
Well, I did not interview her, so I will not be in a position to
based on
have a
what
breakout. However, we
just
will.
said, can we have a breakout session? That's probably most appropriate.
Mr. Walker, also the nurse and the doctor were checking on her. So they said she couldn't go to court anyway.
Right, but can we have a breakout, please?
We can have a breakout, but I'm going to be here tomorrow, Mr. Walker, and I'm not going to allow it to be Riverside because of the medical reset. So I don't know what we can talk about in the breakout room other than what we're already talking about.
Well, I was gonna make a request, but it's typically not a request I would make in open court.
Okay, I'm happy to go to a breakout room. Can we do a breakout room on
Just
her?
because it's sensitive information.
All right, so let's get through the entire calendar and let courtroom 2 go, and then we can do a breakout room when we complete
All
the
right.
entire calendar. So
All
we
right,
know
thank you.
what's up, okay? That'll be all right. All right, any other announcements, courtroom 2?
No, we're completed. Thank you.
Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, see you tomorrow. Thanks.
Your Honor,
Yes, Ms. Bacchus.
have we already, I think it was position 27.
We haven't completed the calendar. We're gonna go to the South Annex.
Oh,
now.
okay. I thought she was, okay, got it. Perfect.
No, I'm just,
Thank you.
that's just all for courtroom 2. So, thank you, courtroom 2. We'll see you tomorrow. Let's go to the South Annex.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon. Who do we have? South Annex?
Can you hear me?
No? I mean,
Position
can you hear us?
I can hear you. I can hear you. Okay, position number 16. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Oh, no, you're fine, but now we can't see you. Okay. And this is which position?
16.
16, okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Mentor. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, and good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You've been charged in case 22 CR 004426B with criminal trespass and battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
So second arrest, 2018 sale of marijuana. It was dismissed after PTR.
All right, Mr. Segura?
This occurred on July the 9th, 2022 at the instant location of 904 Cameron Parkway, Atlanta. In this case, officers responded to a call about a woman kicking in a door at the instant location. When police arrived, they found that the front door was damaged and open. They spoke with the victim, a Mr. Jalil Brown. Jalil spelled Jalil, Brown, common spelling. She stated that Mr. Brown and the defendant were arguing because the defendant has accused of Mr. Brown of not taking proper care of their shared child. In this case, the defendant decided to go to Mr. Brown's apartment, started knocking heavily on the door, and then started kicking it. Afraid, because he knew that she was angry, Mr. Brown decided not to say anything. Again, the defendant started to kick it at the door, and at that point, again, he refused to respond to her. At some point, the defendant kicked in the door, got in, and began to tussle. In fact, the defendant threw punches at Mr. Brown, at which point Mr. Brown attempted to restrain her to get her out of his apartment. And at this point, she stated that as his tussle began, the defendant bit Mr. Brown in the arm, which left a visible mark. Because of this, the state is recommending a $6,000 surety bond, $1,000 for the criminal trespass, and $5,000 for the battery family violence. 1-day anger awareness, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. A stay from the 904 Cameron Parkway, Atlanta location. No further contact with Jalil Brown, and third-party transfer of their children. We're concerned about Mr. Brown's safety, as noted by mere facts that Mr. Brown had no intention of trying to let the defendant in his apartment because he knew that she was angry. And we also spoke with Mr. Brown earlier today, in which he said they do not live together, they are not in a relationship, and the only thing in common is that they have a shared child. And the only concerns he has about any sort of relationship is because of the child, in which we feel that a third-party transfer will solve that. Alongside, he says that this has happened before, but not to the extent. So because of this, we see an escalation to now we see physical violence and visible physical injury on Mr. Brown. Alongside, he said he's also in the process of legitimizing the child. Even though the defendant does have a long criminal record, we see that by sheer egregious nature of what happened, in which she came into his apartment, broke in his door, and started to attack him, immediately because, and we see that there's a history of violence, this one being the most extreme yet, that we see, we object to any sort of signature bond, and we have strong support to have surety. Thank you.
Did Mr. Brown say whether or not he wanted contact or not?
He said he only wanted because to have one child together, and because he's still in the process of legitimizing the child.
So does he want it contact or not? I'm sorry, I don't understand.
He said he wants it, but only because of the child, and because he does have, I think, since they're not married, he does have any rights to the child. So I think that's the only reason he still wants it.
Okay, but they don't live together.
No, they don't.
Okay. All right. So for the criminal trespass, it's $1,000 signature bond through pretrial. For the battery, it's a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial, which makes it a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial. 1-day anger awareness, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond, and no further violent contact with Jalil Brown. Does that suit you, Ms. St. Flex?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Good luck to you, Ms. Mentor.
Thank you. Next, we have position 26, Ms. Williams.
Good afternoon, Ms. Williams. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we are conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Thank you. You've been charged in case 22 CR 004431H for simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
For Williams, 6 total. Last arrest was 2016, driving without a valid license. Marijuana possession. She got theft in her history. I don't see any violence.
Ms. Bacchus?
Yes, Your Honor. We do not have a police report on this. I did request it. It looks like based on the warrant, this incident happened on 3/22, so March 22nd, 2021. Officers responded to a dispute call. The victim, Miss Mariah Smith, common spelling, that's the defendant's sister, was using the defendant's boyfriend's phone. And the defendant intervened and told Miss Smith, my boyfriend wants his phone back. And I'm not exactly sure what the response was, but it looks like Miss Smith said that she would give the phone back. But while Miss Smith was walking out of the room, the defendant forcibly pushed her and hit her multiple times. At the time of the incident, I do know that the victim and the defendant lived together, but our office tried to contact Miss Smith and we were unable to. The state's recommendation is a $2,500 surety bond. No further, there's been a cool down period, so we are okay with no further violent contact. 1 day anger awareness and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, so it's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial, 1 day anger awareness, no further violent contact with Ms. Smith, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Does that suit you, Ms. St. Flex?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, good luck to you, Ms. Williams.
Thank you. Next, we have position number 13, Ms. Jordan.
One for the criminal trespass, 2 for the battery family violence. They're both SOBs through pretrial. Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Jordan. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation. Can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Ms. Jordan, can you hear me? No? Okay.
We have an internet difficulty, sir.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me? No?
It's frozen. The internet going in and out.
Okay, so what are we gonna do? Let's see.
Yes,
Can you hear us now?
yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Good afternoon, Ms. Jordan. I'm Judge. You still can't hear me?
It's still break.
Do they have access to a phone?
Yes, yes.
Okay, can you hear me now, Ms. Jordan?
Yes.
Yes, you can hear me?
Okay.
Mr. Jordan.
I just asked them in the chat, what's the number over there? So
Okay.
she said she's sending it.
I'm here,
now.
Judge.
Okay, now I was just wondering if we could do this. Okay?
Yes.
Yes, you can hear me? Okay, all right. Let me see if I can you speak, Ms. Jordan? Let me see if I can hear you. If you can hear me, say yes.
I can.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. You've been charged in case 22 CR 004422E with battery, family violence, and cruelty to children. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
No.
Mr. Segura?
This occurred yesterday, July the 10th, 2022, which also responded to a fight call at the Benihana restaurant located at 2365 Mansell Road, Alpharetta. In this case, the defendant struck Mr. Robbie Warren, Robbie spelled R-O-B-B-I-E, Warren, W-A-R-R-E-N, by swinging both her arms, which left a visible mark on Mr. Warren's left cheek. Alongside this whole action occurred in front of the juvenile niece, in which this case was also caught by video in the restaurant. Because of this, the state is recommending a $6,000 surety bond, $5,000 for the family battery violence, and $1,000 for the cruelty to children, 1-day anger awareness, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, no further contact with Robbie Warren. Conditions are based on these facts. As well as we're concerned about the safety of Mr. Warren, as based on the report, we see the egregious nature in which not only was this a violent act against the father of the child, but it was done in a public area, a Benihana restaurant, and not only that, it was caught. That whole violent act was done in front of a juvenile niece who was down. Based on what we spoke with Mr. Warren earlier today, he said they are not in a relationship, they did not live together, but do have to share a child. And because of this violent act, we are asking for a surety bond. Thank you.
Ms. Gant?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this your case?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, does Miss Jordan have reason to be around Mr. Warren?
She wants contact, Your Honor. However, I was unable to contact Mr. Warren, and she also advised me that he lives in Ohio. So the only thing that we would ask for is that he be able to see his children. That is her wish, Your Honor.
Mr. Robbie is on the phone.
Okay, all right, so they do have children together?
Yes, they share a 1-year-old daughter, and the child lives with Miss Jordan here in Atlanta.
Okay, and is this Mr. Warren that's on the iPhone?
Yes.
Okay, if you'd like to address the court, Mr. Warren, can you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Is that a yes? Did you hear what I said? Did you hear me, Mr. Warren? Do you swear to tell the truth? Okay, I can't hear you, sir, so.
His phone is on mute.
He needs to activate his audio, Judge. All he has is his camera activated at the moment. So he's connected to the audio now.
Okay.
Well, I'm not sure what just happened.
All right, so. So Ms. Gant, on your information, Mr. Warren lives in Ohio?
Yes, that is according to, that is the information that Ms. Jordan provided me, Your Honor.
And does Ms. Jordan have custody of the child?
The children live with her. I do not know if there has been like a legitimation action in an order,
Okay,
but she has physical custody, Your Honor.
okay. I don't know if we're gonna get him back or not. For the battery, it's gonna be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial. For the cruelty, it's gonna be a $1,000 signature bond through pretrial. 1-day anger awareness, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond, and no further violent contact with Mr. Warren. Okay,
Thank you, Your Honor.
all right, good luck to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Position number 22, Ms. Smith.
Okay, good afternoon, Ms. Smith. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Smith, you've been charged in case 22 CR 004425C with battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
No.
Okay, Mr. Segura, I believe that this is a co-defendant with number
Hello?
18. With number.
Yes, with Antoine Palmer, Judge. It should be the co-defendant.
Okay, would you, anything further you would like to add to that, Mr. Segura?
Just I think it was already added, but I'm not sure I mentioned this, but during the fight she did pull on O'Hara, which resulted in scratches on the defendant, and Mr. Palmer. Mr. Palmer also complained of leg pain from this incident. As these are so the facts are mostly the same, exactly the same. And our recommendation is a $3,000 surety bond, 1-day anger awareness, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons while out on bond, and no further contact with Antoine Palmer. Thank you.
Okay, and I think that I issued a stay away to Mr. Palmer from the Waters Road address.
Yes.
And a no further contact with Ms. Smith.
Yes.
Okay, so she can go back to that address, but she cannot have any further contact with Mr. Palmer. And it's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with Mr. Palmer, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Does that suit you, Mr. Murphy?
Yes, Judge. The child is it's a two-year-old son. There's been no legitimation filed, so I've advised my client accordingly. So she will certainly have no contact with Antoine Palmer.
Okay. All right. Anything further on Ms. Smith? Okay. Good luck to you, Ms. Smith.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Appreciate it. Ms. Smith, I'll be in touch with the family shortly.
Okay, thank you. Position number 12.
Good afternoon, Ms. Hughley. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Hughley, you've been charged in case 22 CR 004421G with criminal trespass. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Counted 10 cycles. If she has Florida history, I don't have it on me. But I see she got a fugitive from justice out of Leon County, Florida. I got marijuana possession, forgery in the third, felony theft of services 2019, 2010 probation violation, 08 harassment phone calls dismissed. That forgery in the first degree, 2 counts, and theft by taking conviction from 03. That's all I have.
Okay, Mr. Segura.
This occurred on November the 19th, 2020, which also responded to a call of vandalism at 2460 Peachtree Road, Atlanta, in which case they spoke with the victim, a Miss Corliss King. Corliss, spelled C-O-R-L-I-S-S, King, common spelling. And she stated that the driver's side tires of a vehicle was slashed and flattened. When police saw the vehicle, they saw that the front 2 wheels had deep cut marks and was flat. Alongside that, Ms. King said that the defendant sent out threatening messages the day before it, and because of this, we're asking for a $2,000 surety bond, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, a stay away from 2460 Peachtree Road, Atlanta, which is Ms. King's address, and no further contact with Corliss King. Based on these facts, there are concerns for Ms. King, as she stated that Ms. King is in fact the sister of the defendant, and she stated that the defendant became upset because Ms. King has full custody of the defendant's son, and the defendant has no visitation to the son. Alongside, Ms. King stated that she has no contact with the defendant since the incident, and because of this, we noticed that because even though Ms. King has full custody with no visitation rights to the defendant's son, we are concerned about the potential safety because it is the defendant's son, and she could just come back and do something. And also, we're concerned about the lack of community potential flag risk. It does have that fugitive hold from justice from Florida. And alongside, we're concerned about the issue of the community, as she does have the 2019 theft of souls arrest. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Murphy.
Judge, my client's age 44, and her name is her last name is King. She's advised that her name is Erica King. Corliss King is a stepsister. This is an incident from November of 2020. My client disputes the facts as they're alleged. My client resides at 1121 Wimberley Road in Brookhaven. She is in her second year of law school in the Metro DC area. I'd ask the court to consider a signature bond. My client says she's not aware of any holds out of Florida. She believes that that's entirely erroneous. And she is an Auburn University graduate. And again, she's had ties to the community, and the address in Brookhaven is her address with a friend of hers, James Relaford. So she does have ties to the community. And I'd ask the court to consider a signature bond. She attended Towers High in Decatur. And again, she's in her second year of law school at a school in the Metro DC area that I'm aware of, but I don't want to announce it herein. But I'd ask the court to consider the signature bond given circumstances and that the age of the incident, Your Honor. Thank you.
So she doesn't have a reason to go back to this Peachtree Road address?
None whatsoever, Judge. She had no ties to that address, and her address is in Brookhaven. And then she has her school address that she'll provide for me later on. If assuming she goes back to school in a couple months, I've advised her to make sure that she stays in touch with me as well as pretrial or the jail for an updated address when she goes back to school. But the Brookhaven address is what she has for the summer.
I believe Ms. King is on the Zoom. So if we could see if she wants to talk.
Who is on, Miss Corliss King? If you would like to address the court, I'll need you to unmute yourself, and you'll have to raise your right hand for me, and I'll have to swear you in, okay? You swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, I can't hear you, ma'am.
I said, yes, I do.
Okay, what would you like to tell the court?
I'm not her stepsister. I am her sister. That's all I wanted to say. He said I'm her stepsister. I'm not her stepsister. I am her biological sister.
Okay, you can put your hand down, ma'am.
Thank you.
Do you want contact with your sister?
No, I think we need to keep it as it is for now.
Okay, that's fine. So there'll be no further contact. All right, anything further, Ms. King?
No.
All right, so it's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. No further contact with Corliss King. Stay away from the 2460 Peachtree Road address. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Okay, good luck to you, Ms. King.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you for the grace of the court. And Your Honor, that's all I have.
Okay, have a good afternoon. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Judge.
Yeah, for South Annex, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. Thank you all. I see you still there, Mr. Warren. Let's see, Ms. Jordan, she received a signature bond, okay? And she's to have no further violent contact with you, sir. Okay, I'm sorry, I still can't hear you, but hopefully you heard what I said. Did you hear me? Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Warren, I can't hear you. So we were gonna go into a breakout room with Mr. Walker. Was it Ms. Gant? Which position was that? Oh, thank you.
I believe it was position one, and if we could possibly have ASG Mitchell to be present as well.
You like who?
ASG Mitchell, Mariah Mitchell.
Okay, Ms. Mitchell, Ms. Gant, myself, Mr. Walker.
Ms. Carter, she's in.
Okay, so if you all are ready. Is everyone ready to go over the calendar? Okay, I'm gonna take that as a yes. Okay, go ahead.
Position number 1,
So tomorrow's SCA calendar, July 12th. Position number 2 is a $3,000 sign-on bond to the jail. Position number 3 is a $2,000 sign-on bond to the jail. We set further notice. Position number 4 is a $2,000 sign-on bond to the jail. We set further notice. Position number 5 is a $500 good bond. We set SAP July 26th. Position number 6 is a $4,000 sign-on bond to pretrial. We set further notice. Position number 7 is a $5,000 sign-on bond to pretrial. We set further notice. Position number 8 is a $3,000 sign-on bond to the jail. We set further notice. Position 9 is a $2,000 good bond. Reset SAP July 26th. Position number 10 is a $5,000 sign-on bond to the jail. We set further notice. Position 11 is a $3,000 sign-on bond to the jail. We set further notice. Position 12 is a $2,000 sign-on bond to the jail. We set further notice. Position 13 is a $3,000 sign-on bond to pretrial. We set further notice. Position 14 is a $2,000 sign-on bond to pretrial. We set further notice. Position 15 is a $1,000 sign-on bond to the jail. We set further notice. Position 16 is a $3,000 sign-on bond to pretrial. We set further notice. Position 17 is a $2,000 sign-on bond to the jail. We set further notice. Position 18 is a $1,000 good bond. We set SAP July 26th. Position 19 is a $2,000 sign-on bond to pretrial. We set further notice. Position 20 is a $5,000 sign-on bond to pretrial. We set further notice. Position 21 is a $2,000 sign-on bond to pretrial. We set further notice. Position 22 is a $3,000 sign-on bond to pretrial. We set further notice. Position 23 is a $3,000 good bond. We set SAP July 26th. Position 24 is a $3,000 sign-on bond to the jail. Reset further notice. Position 25 is a $1,000 good bond. Reset SAP July 26th. Position 26 is a $2,000 sign-on bond to pretrial. Reset further notice.
Okay, any questions, concerns? All right, if not, I will see you all tomorrow. You all have a good, safe evening.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.